Alright, for those who've seen the scene in the 2017 Berserk and wondered how realistic it would be, which is probably a whopping 0.00001% of the population, here's an answer. Well, you're still here. You really want to know, huh?
Nerd.
Anyway, so Berserk and anime in general obviously focuses on coolness rather than realism for the most part, but this scene kind of sticks out. So Guts catches Serpico's blade with his hand, and Serpico calls him foolhardy and implies that he could pull his sword back and cut his fingers. Guts just says that he has strong arms and thick skin on his palms. Is it plausible to hold on to a sharp blade? Yes. There are some caveats, but it is possible. Now there's three main concerns here. The first one is, in order to prevent injury, you cannot allow the blade to slide in your hand. By the way, don't do any of this at home. Just do not. So if the blade is completely immobilized in the hand, there is no slicing action. And in order to just cut when the blade is just resting against the skin, there needs to be some kind of slicing motion. You know, like slicing bread or sausages or whatever. That's why I find this movie trope silly, where, you know, a tough badass grabs a blade, but there's just blood seeping out, even though the blade doesn't actually move. That wouldn't happen. Plus, as soon as blood is drawn, this gets slippery, and then it's more likely to actually move in the hand. Even with a blade like this, which is very sharp and has done quite well in cutting tests that I've done. It just zips right through soaked tatami mats and all that. Even this, I can hold on to. Alright? Depends a little bit on the blade shape. The width definitely matters. Like on this one, if I hold it all the way up here, this is pretty comfortable because the edge doesn't really dig much into the hand. Although this can be harder to hold on to, because there's just less to wrap your fingers around. If I hold this one further down, that is pretty unpleasant, because now the edge on this side here digs pretty deeply into my palm, and I can feel it. It doesn't cut me, but I can definitely feel it, and I know that if this moves even just ½ a millimeter, it's going to start slicing into my hand. But despite the sharpness, I can handle it just fine. If you're skeptical, there's no blood. There's some lines where the edge dug into my skin, but no cut. So for this, grip strength is really important. Right? The harder you can clamp down on it, the less likely it is to move, of course. And Guts obviously has plenty of grip strength, and his superior strength also means that Serpico can't just drag him around while he's holding onto the blade. The second concern is traction. If you don't have enough traction, if either the hand or the blade is slippery, you can't really hold onto it properly. It gets a lot harder, and it's more likely to slide and thereby cut the hand. Now, Guts has a hand wrap in this scene, so that the hand wrap in and of itself, I would say, is more slippery than dry skin. But what it can do is soak up sweat. So in sweaty hands, and Guts is sweating in this scene, so the wrap actually soaks that up and prevents his hand from being slippery. And in that case, it does actually help to hold on to it. And as soon as the edge starts to bite into the cloth a little bit, the cloth fibers can also provide some traction and kind of hold on to it. So this can help. The third concern here is how easy it is to slice the hand to begin with. So Guts points out he has thick skin. And yes, thick calluses are definitely tougher than regular skin and would be harder to cut. So yes, that does help. The bandage helps too. You have the cloth layer that the edge also needs to slide through. And we tried that out, like when I held on to the blade with the hand wrap, and there was a strong pull, it actually started to move a bit in my hand, but it didn't cut me because the hand wrap protected me. Now, if somebody were to wrench this violently and quickly, yeah, this would absolutely move and this would start to cut, unless, as said, you have enough strength to really clamp down on it and hold on to it very hard. So overall, I have to say, the scene is actually pretty plausible, and the explanation that he gives makes sense. But there is one major problem here. If somebody actually thrusts with a blade at you, like lunges and puts their entire body weight behind it, there's no way you can just catch that and hold on to it. However, what could be done is to deflect the sword with the palm of the hand. So if a thrust is coming at me, I'm going to have to clean off so many fingerprints here afterwards. So if a thrust comes at me and I push with the palm of my hand against the flat of the blade, I can redirect it. This is something that shows up in the historical fighting manuals and rapier fencing. You can deflect a rapier thrust like this. It's not easy and it's risky, and of course if you mistime it or if anything goes wrong, it may end up through your hand, or you may fail at deflecting it. But if you manage to deflect it, you could theoretically then grip it. Now, I would not recommend doing that in HEMA sparring at all, because you can get away with a lot of things with synthetic trainers or blunt steel swords. Like, you can absolutely just grab them and everything, but you would get away with things that you wouldn't otherwise. Like, if you don't have the kind of grip strength, or if the opponent really just violently wrenches the sword away, you might not be able to hold on to it, and you would get your hand shredded in real combat. So it's definitely risky. I hope you found this entertaining. Thanks for watching. Check out a link to my Patreon down below, and Kult of Athena, where you can get reproductions of swords and a bunch of other things. Good stuff.